Okay.
I've been an athlete. Your health is looked after by the orders that you are given to eat this, train here. All I ever wanted to do was compete at something, be the best at something, and never to lose.
Hi guys, welcome to Bigger Than Hustle podcast, where I bring you real conversations with entrepreneurs on how they live their lives outside their business. We deep dive into the energies, the motivations, the disciplines, the habits, and the mindsets which make them successful in their lives, which improve in turn makes them successful in their business. Now, today I've got a young man with me, Josh. We've only met recently over social media, and I listened to a lot of stuff he was doing. It really interested me, the way he's quite honest, the way he approaches life, and being sort of 20 years my younger. I thought it'd be an interesting conversation because I know there are a lot of young people that listen to this as well. So I can get a viewpoint from someone, not a dinosaur like me, but a young, vibrant man like this. So, Josh, how are you?
I am amazing. Thank you very much.
Good, and that's how it should be. So, if you can just give a little bit of introduction to the viewers and the listeners, and then we can go into the conversation from there.
Okay. So first of all, being 40 odd years old does not make you a dinosaur. It still makes you a very young person.
Yes.
I know that because I'm a physiotherapist and I work with people. My youngest patient is about 4 or 5 years old, and my oldest one is about 94 years old. So I see everybody in between.
Yeah.
I know that 40s is still very young and still has lots of energy.
Yes.
I'm previously an athlete. I've represented my country on multiple occasions. I've won world titles. I've played football at quite a high level, at the youth level of semi-pro. I've done some acting. I've done lots of different things, but now I'm a physio, and my main aim is just to help everybody and anybody that I come across in whatever way that I realistically can.
Now, there's a few things you just mentioned there, and I'm definitely going to sort of deep dive a little bit into that. You trying different things. So obviously everyone as a human being has facets of their life which they enjoy. So like with me, I have a home technology business, but I enjoy playing the piano. I love playing chess. I love spending time with my kids. So, we are all facets of different things within our life, right? So from you sort of moving from, so it always seems like you've been in a physical side. So, like you said, sports and movement and things. So in terms of your health, obviously, I recognize that that's important to you. What is it that's giving you that mindset to put your health first?
That's a really interesting question, and one that nobody's ever asked me before. I think it's something that's always been ingrained in me, but not necessarily. I've never actually looked after my health until recently.
Okay.
I've been an athlete. Your health is looked after by the orders that you are given to eat this, train here. All I ever wanted to do was compete at something, be the best at something, and never to lose. I never actually cared about winning, but I never wanted to lose. I just hated that feeling of losing.
Okay.
Having good health was a necessary requirement in order to go to these places and not to lose in the events that I was in.
Yep.
It's only in the past few years that I actually lost my health, that health has now become something that's important to me, both mentally and physically. And now I work in the health space. It's me navigating the science and the literature around health, along with my experiences and the experiences of my patients, and me just trying to be the best person I can and trying to teach everybody else what I've learned along the way.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And with life, with technology and life the way it is today, sharing is so much easier now, right? So much easier as in physically. So you can put up a video, you can just share a message, you can send a message on WhatsApp to a personal friend. There's so many ways that we are connected, but there's so many ways that these connections have created disconnections. Ways we feel that even though we are so connected, we feel that we're so far apart from a lot of people. And whether that's our own mental ability or whether that's the way we're processing things. As a young person, before the conversation just now, we talked about me being at an age where I was allowed to grow up organically. But it just seems like, your generation, or the generation before you, that's my kids' generation, seem to have now so much more information thrown at them at a brain that maybe not developed to handle that yet. So, what's giving you the ability or the mindset to actually start sharing your message? I know you mentioned earlier that there is some things that you're doing. I'd like you to go into that a little bit as well. And, where you don't put yourself up against the mirror and say, I need to look a certain way, or I need to hold this mask up so that I look perfect. Because that's what social media seems to be about these days. So what is it what mindset do you have to combat this?
Okay, so first of all, I have to be honest and say that if I didn't look in the mirror and say that I would like to improve this, then I would be lying to you, because I do. And I go through phases of doing it. I go through phases where I'm content and I accept who I am physically and emotionally. And then I go through phases where maybe I have spent a little bit more time than I should do on social media and begin to compare myself to other people. And say, oh, well, maybe if I just had whiter teeth, or just trivial things like that. It doesn't get me down, as it does with many people, but I do have those feelings. So to say that I don't would be a lie. In terms of how I reach the place I'm at now, where I'm willing to share my message, well, that's kind of a long story. Have we got a long time for me to?
You can go. Yeah, you can explain in whichever way you think is going to be helpful for people listening.
Okay. Well, I'll try and shorten it, but. So like I said, I was an athlete growing up. I represented Great Britain, and my identity was wrapped in the sports that I played. It was all I ever wanted to do and all I ever dreamt of doing. I acted because I was reasonably good at it, and two, because it was an escape from the thing that I loved but was whole life consuming. So it just gave me a separate outlet. Up until the age of about 17, I was training 3 times a day. I was at college. I was doing really well academically. I was living just this incredible life. And then all of a sudden, one of my oldest friends died, and everything just kind of collapsed around me. It was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I was spinning too many plates, and all of a sudden I burnt out. I started getting anxiety. And the way that I learned that I had anxiety was I was in college about to go to my A-level PE lesson. And all of a sudden, I got this crippling stomach pain where I was just lay under the table. And I can take pain, because being kicked in the face and kicked in the ribs was a hobby that I enjoyed. So I thought this really isn't right. So I went to the doctors thinking I've got something really wrong with my stomach. And he went, oh no, you've just got anxiety. And I was like, what are you talking about? Just got anxiety. Like my stomach's hurting. I can't. So he told me to chill out for a week and gave me some medications which eased my stomach pain, and it went away. So he was probably right, the doctor that said I had anxiety. And that was kind of this friend that had died. He wasn't my closest friend, but he was my oldest friend. So he was my safety net to go back to. He was always the person that was there. And there's about 3 of us, and I'm always there for them people. Then after that, we had another close friend who suddenly passed away. And all of a sudden, everything around me just started to feel like it was falling down. And I ended up with, it was the day that I was supposed to be doing my black belt. I'd avoided gradings for a long time because it didn't really kind of add anything to my life. It was just one extra thing to worry about. So I'd gone down to Birmingham area to do my black belt, and I'd woken up with tonsillitis. So I thought, it was just a bit of throat ache. So I just carried on, did the exercise as I was supposed to do, did the 10-mile run, did all the fighting. And I got back home and I was so incredibly ill. I got in bed and I didn't move for about a week. So I got back to full health, went back to college. 2 days later, happened again. Tonsillitis again, back in bed, couldn't move. Thought, something not right here. So I went to the doctors, got some antibiotics. This process then repeated a total of, within those, I developed these abscesses which sat behind my tonsils, which on one of the occasions closed off my airway to the point where I crawled upstairs to my mum and dad's bedroom, and that's the last thing I remember apart from waking up in hospital the next day. I'd lost so much weight, I'd lost so much health, and at the end, to shorten this whole story, at the end of this process, I was it took me 18 months to get back to any kind of strength. I had to have this life where if I went to the sofa downstairs, then my stepdad would have to support me down the stairs because I was so weak that I couldn't do it. And I was in and out of hospital and I never saw anybody. I was just kind of isolated. And then all of a sudden it just seemed to end. Well, that's how it felt. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was back to normal. So my football coach was like, right, I think I'm better. Can I come back training? Yeah, come back training. Fine. So we did. I went training, started running, just the jogging on the warm up. All of a sudden, my knee started to swell up. It's like, right, probably because I've been on the sofa for 18 months. Probably normal. Left it a couple of weeks. This was before I was a physio, so I didn't really understand. Left it a couple of weeks and just felt a bit crappy. I just assumed it was because I just took another knock after a total series of knocks. It wasn't. Turns out I went for a surgery. They cleaned up inside my knee, cleaned up a couple of ligaments that had worn away from overuse from all the sports I'd played. Should be fine. 2 weeks later, happened again. So this then began like a 5-year process of figuring out what was wrong with me. In the meantime, other joints started to swell up. So my toes would swell up, my fingers would swell up, my hips would lock up. And it got to the point where I was in so much pain throughout my body that I could not move. So I developed a condition called ankylosing spondylitis, which turns out that it fuses my spine. My immune system is fusing my spine slowly and attacking some of my other joints and internal organs. I'd reached a point where I either required crutches to walk on a good day or on a bad day, I was stuck in the bed and I could not move. I could not be moved because it hurt too much. If you wanted to see me go into the toilet, you would see me crawling with my hands, not my legs, across the landing to get to the toilet.
Okay.
Or in the meantime, there would be tears in my eyes because it hurt so much, but I didn't want to give up because I didn't want to wet myself on the landing, essentially.
Yeah.
That process, it took me so long. Then that process went on where I would be up and down, and it happened through the rest of college where I'd been held back a year from college, so I'd missed all my friends. It happened through university where I couldn't be on any of the sports teams, or I struggled to get to the lessons because the lessons were on the top floor. And one thing led to another, and I ended up in this. I was paying my accommodation, and I didn't have the money to pay for the accommodation because I couldn't work because I was in too much pain. So I'd ended up in this place where I was £3,000 into a £2,000 overdraft, and I just ended up in this horrendous mental place where I could only see one way out, essentially. I'm going to shorten that story because it goes quite low, but I didn't do anything daft in the end.
Yeah.
And it got me to a place where I thought, me being who I am, I overcame that. I was strong enough to overcome it. Now I don't want anybody else to experience the things that I've experienced if I can stop it, or if I can do anything to ease the pain slightly. Because at the point I was at, a 10% reduction in pain would have been everything to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I speak.
And something, from just listening to your story there was so many little facets that have pulled out, in terms of the way we as people, we as humans, generally, we think that if there's a physical sign, so if we've been cut or if we've been scarred, we know, okay, we're hurt and we need to repair ourselves. But when that's internal, when it's sort of like the mind-body connection, and like you said, it was coming through with pain. So, you had stomach pains, you had knee pains, etc. And we're not trained to listen to this, are we? We're not trained as humans to listen to our bodies. It's only when you've been through this that you start hearing that your body gives you answers, and it gives you answers way before it starts shouting. At first it whispers, doesn't it? First it whispers, then it starts to talk a bit louder, then it starts shouting. It seems like your body was shouting at that stage when you started getting the stomach cramps, when you got the knees, right? And it's only at that point then you realize that actually something needs to happen here. And a post I put on not so long ago, which was, we can all see when our bodies are damaged, but when our minds are broken, it's not seen as you know, like there's no hospital for a broken mind. It's almost like we have to work that stuff ourselves. I know there's so much changing in life now. There's so much more information. There's so many people, more people sharing, but it still seems to be a silent battle. It still seems to be a battle that we go through by ourselves or the people around us very close. Because sometimes it can feel shameful. Like, you know, you said your whole identity was wrapped up in this sporting, you know, way. You know, success, winning, you know, representing your country, you know, not losing. And then to go from that to not even being able to move, I'm sure mentally that was tough because so much of your life is wrapped up in, you know, your routines, your training, your, you know, the people around you that give you the strength to be who you are. Now suddenly you have no one around you because you are not that person anymore. You are that person, but you're just a different version of yourself because it's almost like the universe needed you to stop in that path and move on to a different path. And because you weren't listening, it started shouting and it made it happen. And I'm sure as life goes on, you'll look back at that moment, even though it's probably one of the darkest times of your life, as one of the best times of your life to shift you and change your thinking. And I've always believed that the universe will only give it to the people that it believes are strong enough to deal with it. And that's what you, again, have to draw upon to say, I knew that I had the strength, I just didn't realize at that time. And coming through and looking back, first of all, I can share that journey with others because I know that's my truth. But secondly, is I was meant to come here and I was meant to be in this conversation today because of all the things that turned around. Now, if we lighten it a little bit here, you know, when you decided that you wanted to compete professionally and things, what kind of things did you go through mentally to make sure that happened? Because not, you know, everyone can say, I want to be a footballer, I want to be in athletics, I want to represent GB, but no one knows what it takes to actually get there, right? So what sacrifices did you have to make as a young person to be in that sort of arena?
That's a good question. The easy answer is sacrificed everything. So always ask the question, is the action I want to take beneficial to the result that I want to achieve? And if the answer is no, then you sacrifice it.
Yeah. Okay.
And often the answers they desperately want to do the most because he just wants to be normal. So I've got a training session planned with my coach, but my mates are going to the cinema.
Yeah.
Should I go to the cinema or should I go to the training session? And it's always a case of, is this action going to benefit my end outcome? And I was fortunate that I had a stepdad who is incredibly competitive, and he would always remind me that if I didn't go to that session, then somebody who I was going to come up against would have been at that session. And that may well be the difference. And the reason why I say I'm fortunate to have a competitive stepdad, because in today's landscape, people say, oh, it's all about the competing. I don't believe so. I'm 100% in the camp of winning or learning. But he would always be proud of me, exceptionally proud of me, regardless of the outcome, if I'd given everything. And
as
giving
long
everything,
as you tried, right?
yeah, and giving everything doesn't mean at the time. It means if I had done everything I physically could in the preparation, and I'd gone there and I'd give it my all, and even if I got my head kicked in and the floor wiped with me, I would look at him and he would smile and he would be proud of me.
Yeah.
The reason he would not be proud of me is even if I'd won, and I'd won considerably, but if I hadn't given everything in the lead up to and in the action of.
Yeah.
So I developed my sense of pride from that ethos that as long as I give it everything and I can wholeheartedly, introspectively say there was nothing else I could have realistically done here, then that's actually okay.
Yeah.
If you saw me when I lost, you wouldn't think it, but maybe a couple of days later, I would accept that, yeah, that was okay.
And when you have that kind of mindset to even get to that level, to be sort of in the top, 5% of whatever area you decide to compete in, to then have that completely stripped away for you where you're naked on the floor and it's just you and nothing else of that life can serve you anymore, apart from what you've learned in there, right? And even what you've learned in there, depending on your physicality, right? So depending on you being strong for you to go out and compete, and and when you're sort of like on the floor in pain and struggling, to have that kind of mindset where you say, actually, my whole identity is now gone. That whole identity is not who I am lying here now. So to shift it from that whole competitive nature to come out the other side, where, like I said, I've been through dark times. I've probably, contemplated suicide because I couldn't think of any other ways out. But then something says, no, Josh, we have to keep on. Somehow we have to stay in the game, right? Whatever that game is, and that game is called life, right? What mindsets do you think you have now that probably serve you in the life you have now that you didn't have then?
Okay, so first of all, I'm sorry, but this isn't the exact answer to your question.
Mm-hmm.
But that mindset that took me to the top in my sport is the same mindset that carried me through this development of my disability,
Fine.
that carried me through my dark times.
Yes.
And
Yep.
now I have new mindsets, but that feeling of, so when I got to my really dark time and I was contemplating the end, that wasn't acceptable because that wasn't me saying that I've given everything that I can.
Yeah.
And when you saw me fall out of bed and crawl with my fingers across the landing, it was fine if I needed to wet myself, as long as I had given everything I could to get to the toilet.
Yeah.
It's the same battle,
Yeah.
whether you're doing that or whether you're doing that.
Yeah.
And that mindset is what continues to serve me the most. And now my mission is to help thousands of people. I wrote a status on my Facebook a couple of years ago saying a message to 30-year-old Josh: thank you for making this promise to yourself. You've helped thousands of people. If you've not, look in the mirror. Something along those lines. Can't remember. It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But that mindset now has been transferable. I've learned new mindsets. I've learned to be softer in my approach as well.
Mm-hmm.
But fundamentally, I still think that's what underpins me. I just cannot. I can't even put into words how unacceptable it feels internally to know that I could have given more.
Fine. And that's your battle with yourself, right? That's your conversations in your brain about yourself. Now, because you went through, you have to do a lot of the training and a lot of the things that you did when you were an athlete. It's all about how you apply yourself, right? What's the importance of the people around you at that time? And what's the importance of the people around you today?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. And the reason why I said yes tentatively is because I was thinking that every battle is a battle in a team. There is, in any facet of your life, there is no such thing as self-made. So, for example, now I work with tennis players as a physio, and tennis is, unless you're doing doubles, it looks like an incredibly individual sport, but it isn't, because the team of people behind that tennis player is massive. There will be multiple coaches, there will be parents, there'll be nutritionists, there'll be psychologists, there'll be even just groups of supporters and friends that help these people through dark times. There'll be match officials. There's no people. What I've learned in the past 10 years is that people are everything, and working relationships, successful relationships with people are the difference between. There's all this stuff on the internet about happiness is an internal battle, which an element of it is true. You have choices that you can make, which you can choose to be positive or negative to any situation. But fundamentally, I believe that success is predicated by the success of the relationships with the people around you. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're running a business, which I'm currently doing, whether you're training to be a world champion, whether you're playing a team sport, or whether you're just trying to have a happy family life. If you're at home and everybody around you is pissed off, you're not staying in a happy mood for a very long time.
And from one thing that I've learned over my years is that environment, which is the people around you, is the noise that fills your life, right? So it's the input. So the sound input is from that. Now, if those conversations and those words are not great, what's happening is that you are not being the best version of yourself, right? So being at the age you're at now, what I realized from there to now is there's certain people who are not on the same path as me. There's certain people who are not having the same conversations with me, and that's fine, which because everyone's on their own path and their own journey, which I now understand. I choose to now distance myself from lots of people, which I've done over the last 20 years, because those conversations didn't serve me to be the best version of myself and be strong within myself, right? Doesn't mean I say I don't want to talk to you, goodbye. It just means that I'm no longer very close or I'm just distant. It's almost like if you contact me, that's fine. If you don't, it's fine as well. It was a mutual thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones then what happened is then it creates space to fill with the people that do serve me. And what I don't mean this in a selfish way when I say serve me, it means that it's a two-way symbiotic relationship. We serve each other. We have
Mm-hmm.
conversations that spark each other up. We have, times when things are not great, I can pick up the phone and I can ring these people and say, well, this is not great right now. And they'll tell me, fix up or actually I get it. Or a time when they're down and we lift each other up. Because I see we're all here to lift each other up, right? There are times when there's ups and downs for both, right? But it's being conscious and aware of it. And only when you go through those dark times do you realize that even though it's a silent battle for you, the people that care about you and love you for who you are will always be there. And sometimes they know they just need to leave you alone for you to deal with it. And sometimes they need to get in your face and say, Rob, you need to fix up now. And and it's those conversations, the ones that maybe are struggling themselves and they're still ready to help you. They're the true, that's the way I see is true support. They haven't got it figured out, but they're still trying to help you. Some people just go off on their own and that's cool. They just need to sort themselves out. But other people, even when life is tough for them, they'll still turn up for you. And that for me shows true love and it shows true help and it shows actions. It shows that someone is not telling me they love me or care about me, they're showing me. And to me, action speaks so much louder than words. It's that journey we take where I realize that I don't need to hear certain things anymore. I need to see certain things. My eyes speak louder than my ears now, And a lot of the times I wish, when people understand that we've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Sometimes just listen more and speak less. Because when we listen, we learn. And when we learn, we grow. When we speak, we're only outputting what we know. But at that point, that's all we know. And that there's a time for that. And then there's a time to actually take a step back and say, bro, let me hear what you're saying. Let me try and help you that way, right?
Mm-hmm, of course.
And what's it, who are the important people around you today?
Before I answer that, Bav, can I ask you a question?
Of course, yeah.
You were at a point where you mentioned in that story that you just told me that you've distanced yourself from certain people because they no longer served you.
Correct.
Saying that is fine. Mm-hmm. However, when you're in the group of people that no longer serve you, it's very difficult to recognize that.
Uh-huh.
So how did you go about recognizing these people aren't necessarily serving me anymore?
For me, it was feelings. Okay, so what I meant by that is when I'm around certain people, do I feel like, first of all, am I enough? And secondly is, do I feel like I'm the strongest version of myself around these people? Because there's certain people which I used to feel pretty shit around. Maybe because of now I know it's because of the energy they're giving off. A lot of the time, the energy they're giving off is their own insecurity. But I never saw it like that. It's almost like it was an attack on me, or not outwardly, but there were some things that were maybe inadvertently said, or some things in their actions which didn't align with the way I thought about it. So then I thought, actually, this person isn't really, or this people, or say there was a group of people, say there's 6 people, and there's 4 of them which I think I'm not that sure about. I don't really I don't use time as my basis anymore. Just because I've known someone for 30 years, that doesn't mean anything to me anymore. What means is the quality. So I can know someone for a year, I can know you for 2 months, and you can have more value in my life than someone I've known for 10 years because this is the person I've grown into. And because I'm not attached to anyone or anything, I can see someone for how we serve each other. So it's
Okay.
not being attached, first of all, and being strong enough to say, if that person is not in my life anymore, it's fine. And I know I'll be all right. Actually, I might even be stronger. Okay. But it's done by your internal voice. That internal voice will always tell you the truth. It's intuition. It's becoming silent with yourself. It's the meditation. It's a time where you're introspective and you really, and it's really having honest conversation with yourself, Josh. It's saying, even though I've known this person from school, we've seemed to have outgrown, they're on a different path, I'm on a different path, and that's cool. Our lanes are just separating. And rather than saying I'm not talking to you anymore, it's just saying, actually, you know what, I don't need to be a part of that anymore. If you find that difficult, or being your age, I get that 25 is not just a case of saying that. Right now for me is right now it's a case of saying, does this serve me? Doesn't, I'm just going to distance that. I'm cool with that. I've built up that sort of that strength. But being at your age, I would say that your intuition, you spend time with yourself, spend time introspectively in meditation, in times where you're in your own thoughts, and you'll get those feelings. And those feelings will become stronger, and that voice will become stronger. And when that voice becomes stronger, listen to it. Because when they talk about gut feeling, we have more cells in our gut than our brain in terms of our intuition. And our intuition, that's why we say we have a gut feeling, because we have the ability to know what's right and wrong. Trust, I think it comes from trust, Josh. It's trusting yourself to know what's right and wrong. And then being brave. Being brave to say, what is it? How do it, like you said, at 30, you want to be in a certain space, you want to be surrounded by anything. In that time, do you actually know physically how you want your life to look? Have you ever written that down?
Yes, I have. And
Yeah.
I'm asking because I feel like you are better to vocalize how to go through this process. It's a
Mm-hmm.
process that I've been going through over the past 18 months myself.
Yeah.
And I now feel that I'm in a place where I've got a reasonable grasp of this process of who do I need. It's not a case of for myself, it's not a case of who do I need in my life. It's a case of who do I need in my life at the time for the thing that I want or need. And that sounds incredibly selfish because it is. But I have groups of people so I need people that elevate me, as I'm sure you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I have a circle of people that when I'm really focused and I'm looking at elevating my life, the majority of my time is spent with them.
Yeah.
But when I want downtime, I have people that are incredibly
Yeah.
happy in the place that they are in,
Yeah.
and you know that when you go and see them, you're just going to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I dip in and out. It's not a case of these people are no longer serving me, I'm going to distance myself from them.
Yeah.
It's just a case of these people are here and they will serve a purpose at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But these people are here, and I
Yeah.
go to different people,
Yeah.
and I don't tell them that,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
I'm coming to you because I need
Yeah.
elevated. I'm coming to you because I need a laugh.
Yeah.
But people are so caught up in their own lives,
Yeah.
and they've got their own little communities,
Yeah.
that they're happy to just see you dip in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you having the confidence to have that is great, because what will happen as time goes on. So, like you said, you're 25 now. You'll see those numbers getting smaller and smaller. And the reason those numbers get smaller and smaller, not because people have their own lives, is because that's what you choose now. You're choosing because time becomes finite. Like you're not married, are you, Josh? You don't have
No,
children, right? Okay.
no.
So what happens is then you may choose the path of marriage at some point, and then you may think that actually I'm not going to get married, but I'd like to have children. So you think whatever it is, or business, or other parts of your life will change, and you'll move into different directions. When that happens, is that what happens? You start getting more hats to wear. So you're not just Josh the friend, or Josh the son, or Josh, you're Josh the dad now, or you're Josh the partner, or Josh the businessman, And I've never agreed with when someone gets the hat of Josh the dad, you get the Josh the friend's hat and you chuck in the bin, right? I've never agreed with that because it doesn't make sense to me. How is it that just because you've become a dad, you can't be a friend anymore? That's it. That's quite a limited thinking. It just means that now my pockets of time are going to be finite. It's going to be limited. So I'm not going to be able to go out with the boys so much, or I'm not going to, be able to see mom and dad so much really because I need to spend time with my child. I need to spend time with my wife, invest there. And therefore, because your time then becomes finite, you then become very picky with how you choose to spend your time. And then because you become picky with the way you choose to spend, you start seeing value in different things. And certain people will go automatically because it was never meant to last through that. Other people will turn up because suddenly you have people in your, other friends that are having children or other friends that are getting married and things like this. And you start having different conversations with them and you evolve together. And there's other friends that maybe you distance because your life is just starting heading in a different direction. So I don't think sometimes it's not, you don't even think about it, it just happens. And the people that will always be by your side, up and down, will always be there, irrespective. And that doesn't mean because they've known you for a long time, it's just because they see you change, they see you evolve, and they're evolving with you. And you will see that yourself. But having those pockets is really good, and invest in that now. Because if you invest in that now, you know that when I need my downtime, when I need time with the boys, I'll go with the boys, and I'm just Josh, the boy. But then when I need to pick myself up, I have this group of people that I can be around. Doesn't mean you're a different person. It just means I know how to invest in myself with the different people, because that's how we invest in ourselves, right?
Yeah, of course. And the way I see it is that the easiest way for me to visually imagine it is that these different people have different energies.
Yeah.
And when you are in, I don't know whether you've noticed, but when you're in a room with somebody and their energy is higher than yours, one thing's going to happen. You're dragging them down or they're dragging you up.
Yes. Yes.
And I go where I want my energy to go to.
Yeah. And your energy goes where your attention goes, right? So it's what you put your attention on, right? So you can either be, if your energy is high, you can either be pulled down to that level, or you choose to say, I acknowledge that there's a lower energy here, but I'm choosing not to be there. And either they'll come up, or you won't go down, and then you'll just be on a different level the whole time. But that's fine as well. And it's being comfortable in that as well. It's like being comfortable in silences with people. You don't need to keep talking sometimes. Just being around is enough. Some people just need silent support. Just being physically around someone is enough. And like you said, that's where energies come in. They'll feel you. And like you said, when you walk into a room, you'll feel it a lot of the time. What's going on here? It's because you've now tuned into that. Whereas a lot of people your age may never even understand what you're saying. This conversation will probably be alien to a lot of people around you because they've just not. And I've seen by going through a crisis situation myself, and you've obviously been through that, you learn so much about yourself because there's a silent battle which you win within yourself. And because you come out the other side such a stronger person, that person now, it's almost like says, I'm now choosing not to have my life in that way. I am being selfish in the way that I know I need to be strong. And because I'm strong, I've got, I'm on a vehicle and I'm ready to take anyone on that vehicle with me, but they need to input as well. And it's not just, I'm not going to carry anyone on my back anymore, because probably for years you probably did. And now I'm saying, no, I'm going to jump on your back and you're going to jump on my back, and we're going to carry each other where we need to. But it's not going to be me anymore just doing the work. And it can be like that with family as well. And I found that with certain parts of my family. There's certain parts of your family, they're family at the end of the day, right? So you can't just erase them. But what you can say is, I'm choosing not to put energy into that space anymore. Because when someone is ready to listen, they hear you. When someone is not ready to listen, no matter what you say, they can't hear what you're saying. They don't understand it. And almost you can repel them. So what I've learned is I just keep shining my light. And when they're ready to listen, they will. And when they're not, that's cool as well. I'm fine with that. Before, I used to find that hard. When someone's not on my page, I'm like, what don't you get about that? And I'm sure you've seen that. And now I think I've come to peace with it, because not everyone is going to be in the same situation. That's fine. Everyone is on their own journeys, having empathy that maybe just not right. But if I keep shining my light, one day they may turn and say, Bav, can you maybe give me some more advice or help on this? And then you're like, now you're ready to listen,
Yeah, 100%. I really do agree.
And that, what I'm glad, Josh, is that you've seen, like at this age, you went through what you went through. That's cool. You've come through this side and you're willing to share. And there's so many young people, because I mentor sort of like 18 to 21-year-olds. I go out and do talks and things like this. And a lot of them have very comfortable lives. They're in a situation where, things are good at home, things are good at out. They're not awesome, they're not crap, they're just sort of like, in between. And I find that mediocrity is probably the worst place to be in, because you actually don't really ever sort of push the edges or push boundaries unless you push that back against the wall, you come out fighting. And like very similar to you, my mindset always was, when I was at my lowest point, it was, I work best when my back is against the wall. I work best when I have to think and come out fine. When it becomes to comfort, I think I become a bit lazy in my mind, because things become a bit comfortable, right? So it was a case of, now I'm at my darkest point. Medicine is not going to be an option for me. Doctors are not going to be an option for me, because I know they're not going to have a conversation, and I come from strength. I know I can deal with this by myself. I know not everyone is in that boat, and that's cool. I was. So therefore, it's going to be a process of being patient with myself, having discipline to say, shit's going to change, let it change, and come out the other side even better than you are today. And having my wife with me, having my kids with me, having the family I have who are my team around me all the time, that gave me the space to just work my shit out, but also were there and plugged in when times were good. When we're on the up, we need that as well. So it's our team, isn't it? It's a team we got. And I want you to be conscious of the team you want to build around you. And if that means your life at 30 is going to be based on the decisions you make today. Right? My life today is based on the decisions I made 10 years ago. And I'm so glad that I got that concept. Your life right now, Josh, is a product of the decisions you've made yesterday, 5 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, right? So if you, and you may look at certain things and you say, I don't like it the way it is right now with whatever it is, relationship, health, wealth, whatever it is right now. If you want to change it, you think, okay, for me to change a decision, I need to improve my knowledge to make that decision, right? So if I want to be wealthy, I need to understand more about wealth. So I need to increase my knowledge. If I increase my knowledge, I can make a better decision. And if I make a better decision, the outcome is a better quality of life in that area. So to improve the quality of your life, you improve the quality of your decisions. And improve the quality of decision, you improve the quality of the knowledge you make those decisions with. And when you get that, then you realize that everything is possible. You just need to sometimes invest in yourself. And that means going dark as well. And what I mean by going dark, go silent. Put your head down, work at it, be silent, know that you look up and you see what's going on, but in the background you might be at home studying, you might be, looking around, spending time with yourself to really learn about yourself. And that means you need to get quiet and go dark.
Yeah, I agree, Bav, but I think that there's something that you touched upon, but is probably the most important step, is understanding that almost everything is within your control.
Yep.
And you have to accept that the good things and the bad things are consequences of the choices that you make. And you always have choices.
Yeah.
And if you're not taught this, it's very difficult to accept that you are actually. So it was very difficult for me to accept that the disability I developed and the illness I developed were consequences of the choices that I repeatedly made to try to do everything. It's really, I think we have to go that level of deep and look at all of the really bad things that have happened to us, which we say, why me? And all of the good things that have happened to us, which we're proud of, and dissect those events and look at what actions you took and what choices you made along the way. Because before you have that empowerment, it's very difficult to then plan for later on in life. Yeah. Lots of people think, I'm only going to be wealthy if I win the lottery. And that's because they don't understand the level of control they've had over their life to take them to the point now where they only believe they can win the lottery or keep a job.
Yeah. And another thing about that, so if we use the analogy of lottery as well, when you say a lot of people believe that the only way they can be wealthy is by winning the lottery, what a lot of people don't understand, it's not the lottery that makes you wealthy, it's the person you become in the progress of learning to be wealthy, right? So it's all the things that build you up to understand and learn that, so that when money does come your way, that energy doesn't kill you or or pull you down, right? So why a lot of lottery winners then 3 years later are actually in a worse off position than they were before they won? Because they never went through that journey of becoming the person that was worthy of holding that money to use it correctly. And that same thing, not just with money, that can be with time, that can be relationships, that can be with people. It's not the goal that matters. Always have a direction and focus, but it's the person you become on the way to that. Because when you get to the goal, all you'll see, you'll get to the mountaintop and you'll see another mountaintop that you want to get. That's just us as human beings. We're never going to get there and say, that's it, my life is done, I'm happy. Because we're always growing. That's just our nature as human beings, right? But if we've learned nothing along the way, then it's almost never been going to be worth it. You always get to the end. It's like when I've done half marathons, and next year I'm training for the New York Marathon. And I know being at that start line and being at the end line will almost be just a byproduct of the person I've become. And that person is the person that has to go out when it's sunny, when it's raining, when it's cold, to go for a run and still enjoy it. Build myself nutritionally, build my health up, be the strongest I can to be on that start line. But that start line will be the end of a whole process and a journey that I'll be proud of myself that I've got there. And the end result, that medal or the T-shirt, whatever you get at the end of it, which is just an outward expression of your success in that area, that will almost be irrelevant to me, because it will be, I'll look back at that year and a half of training to say, actually, at times I probably didn't feel like I was going to get there, but I did. And I'm proud of myself because of that. And I think that's where we, as people listening, and you'll know this as well, Josh, the end result is all becomes almost secondary. It's not about that anymore. It's about who you have become in the process and how you have lived your life and disciplined yourself and sacrificed certain things that you can be proud of. Say, I can do that once, I can do that again. I know it's in me. And if there's anyone else that wants to go through it, and that's another reason I want to do the things I do, because I have children now. And I see myself as an embodiment of what's possible to them, because that's their world, right? So if I, go out and speak on stage, if I then run a marathon, if I then live my life in a certain way, I want them to know that that's normal. My parents, my mom was a mom, my dad was dad. They didn't really, because they came first generation to this country, right? And they just had to work, graft head down, and I'm incredibly proud that I'm standing on their shoulders. Now I want to step up to say, actually, the environment my kids know is that we get up and we train in the morning, all of us do. We eat well. We have game time. We go for walks. We talk. No subject is out of bounds. And that's their normal. I want that to be their normal, right? So when they step out into the world and they'll see the whole, their friends that probably don't live that way. And to them, it's like, will be alien, because all they knew was, I have to get up and train or just look after my health. Not necessarily train, but look after my health. Eat well, surround myself with good people, surround myself with conversations, and that's my job as a parent. If I want to see the next generation do well, and I want to see the whole world, when people talk about climate change, they talk about environment, they talk about these things, right? You can go out and do that yourself, or you build your kids up to then have those conversations, those lives, because that's the legacy you leave. I'm doing that role already. So when I'm gone, they will continue on that path.
100%, and your children are very fortunate to have you creating that environment. But unfortunately, that's a very rare scenario that people are brought up in such an open environment, in such a positive environment.
And Josh, if I brought them in here, they won't tell you any of that. And like you said, hopefully they see it later, right? Hopefully they see it with that, Dad, thank you. But right now it's like, Dad, I don't want to get up and train. No, I don't want tired, And it's that where I'm like, no, we're still going to do it. We're still going to we're going to go on a cycle. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Mm-hmm. And I know, because my intention is always, I want the best for them. Mm-hmm. You can hate me all you want right now, but I want the best for you. And the care and the love and the attention. My dad never gave me a hug and told me he loved me. Never. When we were young. And that's cool, because he was going through just so much stuff that and he was never raised that way. And I want to break those kind of things. Every night when my son goes to sleep, it's a hug. We had a good day. I love you. Take it. Have good sleep. I'll see you in the morning. And I want that to be normal. Even though I would never knock my dad. My dad listens to these talks all the time for what I say, and I'll say I'll never knock that because I know his mindset and his journey was completely different. And if I was in that space where I came to this country and I was not wanted and there was racism on a daily basis, and I had 3 kids, my mom and dad, and all my brothers and my sisters to look after, and I'm the only one working, and I had that pressure on me, maybe I wouldn't have time to say I love you to my kids because I wasn't in that space, And my love was shown by actions. It wasn't shown by words, And I always saw that. And that's why I know I'll always be fine. And I always have been fine because I know he's always wanted to look after us, And I think it's having the empathy to say, I know he's made of such stronger stuff than I was to deal with that. And I know I was meant to be in this generation because he's given me the choices to then do things like this. He would never had the choice to do this,
Of course. My stepdad was very similar. He rarely said those words, but he didn't need to.
Yeah.
He was my stepdad was quite a hard man. He was in the army and then he was in the armed police and he played rugby and he boxed a lot and he was just a hard man. The way he showed me that he loved me was by grilling me when I did stuff wrong and by constantly encouraging me to be better in whichever facet of life that I chose that I wanted to go down. Neither of my parents ever forced me to do anything. However, if I made a commitment and I chose a path, they would forcibly encourage me to be better.
Yeah.
A bit like you are with your children, you're making them get up and train.
Yeah.
Hated it at the time, but I'm eternally grateful that was the approach that they've taken.
And hopefully I have enough softness in me that when later on when they say, "Oh, Dad, I hate it, but I'm glad you did do that." There are times when like my wife, she's a fitness instructor, so she does prenatal, postnatal exercise for ladies. So she's a really strong individual, mentally and physically, right? And she's going the dairy-free route at the moment as well. So she's cutting out a lot of dairy. So she's very disciplined with her food. Whereas I enjoy, because my health journey is a lot longer. So I know I don't mind having pizza and ice cream with the kids because I know tomorrow I'll be back on the journey of salads and things like that. And my kids love it because they're always like, "Oh, Dad, should we get some sweets?" "Yeah, let's get some sweets." Well, my wife is quite strict in that way. So they always try to sneak me in there as opposed to my wife. And I'm glad we have that balance. That and another thing is like Versha, so my wife, she's really good at sort of the empathy side of things, giving hug, and whereas sometimes it's a bit alien to me, and I need to sort of work on that more. So I'm glad we have some kind of sort of like quirks that both our kids can take the piss out of us, really, and they're happy to do that as well. But they know that when it's time to sort of buckle down, then they'll do it. Do you know what I mean? So now, Josh, I could talk to you all day. This has been it's a good conversation, and we will carry on these. There are other formats I'm thinking of. What part of the country are you in, by the way?
I am in the northwest.
Okay. So I'm building a studio as well in Leicester. So it's an actual recording, audio-visual recording studio. So when that's done, I'd love to invite you down, and we can do this later. When obviously all this craziness of COVID and lockdown comes out. And also, I'm thinking of doing some more lives, like Facebook Live, Instagram Live on certain topics. And again, we can talk about that and see if we can put something together on that as well. Because I think having conversation with different generations, because almost like you are a different generation to me, I think it's nice to get different viewpoints and different inputs and where we can help and support each other, right?
100%.
Cool. So now, as we sort of reach the end of the conversation, there's a couple of more questions so people understand a little bit more about you. Okay, so you're at the end of your days now, right? So you've lived, 200 years, you've had a long, strong life and healthy, and you've done everything you've wanted to do, and you've inspired all the people you want to inspire, and you've helped everyone you want to help. And now we're at the last moments. You're with the people that you want to be around, and they're all sort of waiting for you to then say, okay, see you onto your next journey, wherever that may go. You don't have enough energy to speak, but you have a pen and a paper, and you can write 3 words. Those 3 words have helped you in your life, and you hope the practice of those 3 words with the people listening can help them in their lives. What would those 3 words be for you?
Just don't lose. Doesn't mean that losing is unacceptable, but it means that losing the mental battle with yourself is unacceptable.
Yeah, and
Just don't lose.
you are your biggest challenger, right? If you don't look at left of you, don't look right of you, just look within you
Yeah.
and be. And I think that relates to something similar that I have, is always try and be the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like to you. Don't judge yourself against others, because you don't know what others' journeys have been. And if you see someone doing something that you like, draw upon it as a motivation, but don't say I need to be that. Just like someone who's not doing so, or lagging behind and not doing so well, don't judge it and say I'm better than that person. Just say I don't know what journey they're on. If I can help them, let me help them, because I know that's what life is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now this podcast is called Bigger Than the Hustle. Right now, you're bigger than the world. I've sourced a mic, and that mic is connected to 7.58 billion people in this world. There's no language barrier, so they understand everything you're saying. Everyone is awake, everyone is connected, and everyone's listening. If I gave you 30 seconds to share a message with the world, what would you say?
Life is not a zero-sum game. Everybody can win as long as we win together. Winning isn't everything, but losing the mental battle with yourself is everything. Is not acceptable to anybody. If you lose the mental battle with yourself, you're never going to progress forward, and you're always going to be unhappy. So care for the people around you, forgive yourself, forgive everybody else, but just never stop trying.
Perfect. And wise words from someone so young. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you for taking time out. I know you're a busy guy, so thank you for taking time out to be a part of this.
No problem.
Thank you that our paths have crossed, and I know they've crossed for a reason. I think the universe always makes these things happen if they're meant to happen, and I always hope and pray before I start any of these that the messages that we've shared reach the people it's meant to reach, and the energy reaches them. And if we can make someone else's life a little bit light and a little bit easy just from listening to our conversation, then both of our lives have been worth it. So
well, listen, Bab, I've watched a couple of your other podcasts, not all the way through, but I've watched them, and I intend to finish watching them. I love what you're about. I appreciate the message that you're trying to send, and I back it wholeheartedly. And anytime you would want me back on, I will be here. And I just really want you to keep doing what you're doing, because I think it's awesome.
Thank you so much. And I will try. And like I said, this is something completely new for me, but I felt there was no longer a need to, or I wanted to be silent anymore, because I know there's so much, our words can, words put correctly in the right order can spark something in another person, which I think can lead them to their greatness. And if I can do that, and I can see that happening with the people around me, then this world is going to be a better place. And when I say world, I talk about the people around me. I don't talk about the whole world. I say, who are the people around me, and how can I be the best for the people, for my world, which are the people around me. And now you're a part of that as well. So I will continue on my path to be as strong as I can. And anytime you need help or support, just pick up the phone or send me a message, and it'll be cool. Okay, so this has been Bigger Than the Hustle. Just a few thoughts to leave you with. Now, bigger thoughts lead to big energy, lead to big thoughts. Big thoughts lead to big ideas. Big ideas lead to big actions. Big actions lead to a big life. So keep thinking big. Until next week, thanks for listening. See you.
I think a lot of people now are on some sort of real discovery and some real journey and stuff, and it's amazing to see